All right, then. I'll kick it off. All right, this is Sergeant WarDawg. Welcome back to the WarDawg Trail. This is episode 44. I have a special guest with me today. I'm bringing you Dominion 126, also known as Chris T, coming to you from Texas. He's a guy I've been a fan of on Instagram for 3 years now. Chris, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, appreciate it, man. I love to hop on here, man. I've been watching the episodes, and yeah, man, it's a joy to actually hop on and be on here myself, man. It's probably only my second, third time doing the podcast, man. So something I got to get used to, I guess.
Yeah, you big time in my eyes, so you definitely gotta get used to it.
Definitely.
But if you don't mind, let's jump right into it and
Mm,
let us know about your background, like what part of Texas you're from, or anything about your background you don't mind sharing.
cool, cool. So, man, I've lived in Texas my whole life. I'm from the Houston area, suburbs, Missouri City area, and so man, I've always been an outdoorsman. My with my family, my dad and my uncles, they always had me in outdoors. I mean, I probably caught my first fish at like 4 years old. Um, I started hunting when I was 10 or 11. And man, always been around firearms. My dad was a HPD, Houston police officer, for 37 years. So I've always been around that, and it's crazy. I'm pretty sure you've heard some of the stories coming out of Houston, man.
Yeah.
It's a crazy city when it comes to violence. So I've actually seen some of that stuff firsthand. He would pick me up from school, man, in the squad car and be like, "Hey, we got to make a stop," and they go hit a house or something, Like, so I've always been around that type of stuff, man. And now being in law enforcement myself, it's come, I guess, full circle, man. Just seeing it as a child. Now I'm experiencing it, firsthand. So but man, the outdoors thing is something that I wanted to be able to give back and help people, man. So like I say, I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And man, I was praying one day, like, man, how can I make money and do what I enjoy and actually help people? And man, God gave me a vision of Dominion 126 from Genesis 1 and 26, where he gave man dominion over the earth, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every little thing that
Oh,
crawleth.
so that's the
Yeah,
story behind Dominion 126.
yeah, yeah.
That is dope. That is dope. I like that, bro. All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that's just kind of how I started rolling, man. And so what I ended up doing, man, I got my certification to teach hunters education. Because hunter education, I don't know how it is over there, but like if you want to hunt in the state of Texas, you got to go through like a safety class and everything,
Oh
just so
yeah,
you're not just going out there without a gun.
I was lucky enough. I went all dad hunting out in Big Spring out west.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I've been out there for just like 2 3 days, but I can't say I touched down in Texas to hunt. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
I got you on
man,
hunter safety though. That's cool. So you're the one that actually teaches the class to for you to get your license.
yeah, yeah. So basically, man, that hunter ed safety course, man, we make sure everybody knows like the state laws when it comes to what to hunt, what not to hunt. Of course, they can change from year to year, but you also make sure that person knows how to kind of walk safely with a firearm, especially if you're hunting in a group or your sectors of fire and everything. If you're hunting in a group, so you kind of go through that stuff, make sure they're good, make sure they take a little test, make sure they shoot, whether it's like a 22 or whatever in front of you, just to make sure they can operate a firearm safely and sign off on them, man. And, they're good to hunt in the state. So that's how I started, man. And then I always loved fitness. So I actually got my personal training cert back in like 2012 ish, 2013. And
Damn.
um, so, I started incorporating like the workout thing because I'm just like, man, if we gonna, have that dominion and actually dominate the earth, man, we gotta have all angles covered, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, man, people need to know how to fish, they need to know how to hunt, they need to know how to start fires and purify water and be fit, right? can't be walking around 400 pounds and trying to drag a deer out the woods and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? So that and then the self-defense stuff. And so uh, what I did was, man, I was actually on Twitter and a guy who had retired out the military like 26 years something. He did Delta Force for a little bit, and he was like, "Hey man, if you come up to North Carolina," he's like, "I love what you're trying to do with the business and everything." He's like, "I'll train you for free. Just get up here." And I was like, "Shoot, man!" I booked me a hotel and a rental car, and went out there to Southern Pines, and his last station area was Fort Bragg, and man, had a blast, man. And the stories of what this guy's been through, going through, Rangers and Delta and all that stuff, it was crazy, man. But just the experience he had from being, several deployments and jumping out of helicopters and everything else, it was crazy. So he was like, "Hey, man, if you're gonna teach this way, this is how you need to do it and stuff." So that's how I kind of got my foot into the firearm instructor area, and man, it just kind of grew from there. So, in my classes, as you probably see, man, I like to incorporate a lot of fitness. I like to get people's heart rate up, and I like to make sure, man, when you get that heart rate up, you go up and you can put accurate rounds on target. Because of course, I can't manipulate or fully shoot at people to get that heart rate up, right? Or come
Yeah.
at them with a knife, like it would be in real life. But at least I can try to do something to make that heart rate jump up and get you a little fatigued and see if you can still focus on doing the fundamentals correctly, putting good rounds on target, man, and hopefully make better shooters and better self defense people, at the end of the day. Because not
Yeah.
everybody's going to be a a military guy or a law enforcement officer, but some people, man, just need to be able to defend their family, man. I mean, the world is crazy out there. Being in law enforcement now, man, I respond to calls and I'm like, man, if this person just would have had a gun on them, they probably would, not been beat up or robbed, like it's crazy. So, that was my passion starting out. And so I did that for a few years, just full time. And then I jumped over into the law enforcement thing and haven't looked back since. I still try to do stuff here and there with the you good? You heard that beep?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. I think it's
Oh, okay.
fire alarm or something.
Oh, okay. Um, so yeah, with jumping into the law enforcement thing, I still try to do class here or there, but man, it takes up a lot of time, especially with the family and stuff too. So, gotta do what I got to, with the taking care of home first, but still try to get out there and educate people as much as possible.
Okay. Okay, bro. That's what's up. Now, I love seeing the way you hunt. I love seeing I've seen a bunch of recent posts where you're knocking down everything from hogs to ducks to
Hmm.
I mean, and then it'll be like right after I just saw you at a range on a range day. So it's like, please tell me, like what were your favorite animals to hunt? What do you like to use as far as weapons? Talk to us about hunting because you're a pro on the hunting scene, bro.
Man, so basically, man, I've started from like bolt action when I was young, using a bolt action just to shoot deer and hogs, and all the way to having different style ARs now. But um, man, my favorite caliber, if I was going to hunt almost anything in the state of Texas, would probably be a 308. That's what I started out with a bolt gun at 11. And man, that round, I mean, it does what it needs to on anything that we're going to see in the state, pretty much. Um, but when it comes to the hunting thing, man, I started out with like deer and dove hunting, and man, this one weekend I was 16 or 17. I killed like 3 deer in one weekend, right? And
Damn.
and I was like, man, this is kind of boring. You know what I mean? Like where do I go from here, right? Like I got 3 deer. Man, my freezer was full for like 2.5 years, bro. I had so much meat. Like, cause you get sausage made, you get like the backstraps butterfly. So, I was like, where do I go from here? You know what I mean? So I was like,
Mhm.
man, I want something more adventurous. And my uncle started taking me duck hunting, man, and that was it. That was the thing that made me like, yeah, I'm addicted for real. When it comes to duck hunting, man, it's a one, the ducks got to be in the area. Two, you got to position your decoys right. You got to have the right wind. You got to hide really well because they can see everything. And you got to think about it. If a group of 20 ducks flies over, that's 20 sets of eyes that are looking at you, you know what I mean? Or looking in the area, right? So, I've had people like just do like this too fast and like show the white of their eyes and the ducks will flare off, so it's a challenge to it, man. It's more challenging to me than like the deer hunting thing. So that's what I love. And you only get 60 days in a season for duck hunting. So that season's actually rolling around November 4th. There's go then there's like a split in the middle, and then it goes again until like the end of January. But man, that's my thing, man. You gotta go walking through the marsh. I mean, you're going knee deep in mud and carrying all your gear with you, man, and you're sweating. No matter how cold it gets, you still sweating, man, because ain't no way you're gonna walk through knee deep mud and like dragging almost 50, 60 pounds worth of gear with your backpack on and everything. You're not gonna sweat, man. So most of the time, like you stripping off clothes by the time you get to the
Yeah.
end point. But man, that South Texas marsh is a beast, man. I mean, it'll wear you out. You really got to have those marsh legs to pump through that and just continue walking through some mud that, when it grabs the boot on the wader, man, it almost sucks it off your foot,
You call them
like
marsh legs? Is that what you said?
yeah,
You
yeah,
gotta
you
have
got to
those
have
marsh
marsh legs.
legs. All right, I got you. I got
Yeah, yeah. Because down here they call it that gumbo marsh, man, where it's like a black dark marsh, man, and it's just like you could have this much water, right? Like 6 inches, but the mud's so deep below it, you might be to your thigh. You know what I mean?
you.
Trying to get through that
Ooh,
stuff.
yeah.
So, and the thing is, man, I've seen people get stuck to where they gotta have somebody kind of pull them out. Walking. Um, and it's tricky too. Sometimes it'll look like grass, and man, it's just straight mud. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
you just got to know what you're doing down there. I've seen guys get trucks stuck in the marsh, trying to drive through to get to wherever they're going, and man, they got to get cranes to pull them out because they can't. A tow truck can't actually pull it out sometimes. So
damn.
it's crazy, man. It's some good stuff down here, but
Hold on.
as far as the hunting goes,
Let me
oh,
pause for one second. All right. All right. This is
so
episode 44. We are continuing with Dominion 126, also known as Chris T in Texas. And talking about dealing with marsh in the Texas swamps when he's trying to hunt.
So yeah, man, you like I said, you gotta have those marsh legs, and the marsh legs, man, is meaning you probably look like you marching in a marching band or something, man. You just raising those legs real high, pumping through that water, because the minute you stop walking, man, you just gonna sink, right? And so I got people who I try to introduce into duck hunting like that, and man, they'll be out there sweating and breathing hard and stopping. And I'm like, hey, man, whatever you do, just don't slow down, man. Just like if you're driving a truck through the mud, the minute you stop, man, all that momentum stops and you just start sinking, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost the same thing, man. You marching through that marsh and you just got to get to wherever you're going and man, it takes a lot out of you, but it's one of those things, man, being physically fit and having them legs right to be able to do it. So
All right. That's what's
but
up.
when it comes to like the marsh, you got to think about, man, sometimes there's gators, you got a million mosquitoes. It's
Yeah.
is everything out there, man. The snakes, you know what I mean. So I don't know how many times I've gotten in a duck blind and I've seen a snake or some giant spider that's the size of your hand. You know what I mean? Like, it's always something, bro. So Texas definitely got the animals and the predators and all the wildlife, but it's fun getting out there in that marsh, man, getting after them ducks, man. And like I say, I wanted something more challenging than deer hunting because you gotta imagine, man, a duck can fly. Some of the fastest recorded ducks might be anywhere between 45 to 60 miles an hour. So, you're trying to shoot something that's flying in or flying by, and I can tell you, man, once they see something wrong, they out of there, right? So you just gotta be able to be like, all right, man, I'm gonna lead, boom, just like shooting skeet. So I can tell you, these ducks can change direction on a dime, man. They could be coming in, and all of a sudden they going straight up, getting out that area. So it's crazy to have that ability to knock something out the air, man. That's what I really enjoy. So that's my favorite. But duck season, like I say, is only 60 days long. So when it comes to the other times of the year, I probably am out fishing or hog hunting, man, because Texas has such a terrible hog problem. Um, I mean, I've been in fields where it's probably 50, 60 acres, and you probably see 100 hogs walking through a field, just
Whoa.
ravaging through, whatever crops in that field, man. So I remember last time I saw that many pigs, it was a soybean field. The guy had planted, and the soybeans had just started coming up out the ground, the plant. And
Yeah.
man, they were just going through, just picking it out the ground, man. And we ended up getting like 12 because once you start shooting, of course, man, even if you got suppressors, man, they out of there.
Yeah.
So but yeah, man, that's what I do to pass the time is get after them hogs, man. So, they're such a nuisance, and we eat them here and there too, but man, sometimes we kill so many, man, you just stack them up and let the coyotes have them.
See, that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. That's what. Okay, okay. As a matter of fact,
Uh,
as, yeah, I used to just If whenever I was skinning them, there are a few times I would use some hog meat to bait the coyote. So
mhm.
yeah, okay, I totally feel you on that and where you
Yeah,
coming from.
man.
That's talk to me a little bit about night hunting on hogs and using thermals or night vision.
So I actually got started. I believe my buddy follows you, Hog Sniper or whatever
Yeah,
down there
yeah,
in South Texas. He's the one who kind of got me into the thermal thing, man. So I went down there to hunt with him, and I was like, yeah, this is the way to do it. So for so many years, I just tried to catch hogs during the day or early morning, late evening. And with him, just getting behind a thermal scope, man, if it's got a heat signature, you're gonna see it, man. I mean,
yeah.
I've picked out hogs at probably 1,300 yards before with a really good thermal, and you'll just see that
Oh,
little speck. You're like, hey, what is that? And you
yeah.
you go over there and it's a pig. So um, the thing is, you do have to realize you're looking at a computer screen now. Not a regular scope. A daytime scope. Your magnification and everything's like happening in real time. But with a thermal scope is just a computer screen, man. So your distance, like judging your distance, isn't always the same, man.
You're right.
Sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, that pig is close, man. I remember one time we ranged it after, and I was like, that was like a 400-yard shot, like, like just because you just the same depth perception is there because you got the zoom on and everything else is pitch black, so you're not able to see how far something really is. So that's the biggest thing you have to overcome is realizing, man, what I'm seeing in the screen, how far is it? And now a lot of thermals actually come with range finders now, so that's pretty
Yeah,
good. But that costs a pretty penny sometimes to get a
yeah. Oh, yeah,
you
you
know.
ain't lying. You ain't lying there.
So, but man, the that's the best way to get them. I mean, of course, helicopter hog hunting too. If you want to spend a few $1,000s to get up and chase pigs, but if you can get you a nice thermal and then a good calibered AR, like me personally, I actually have my pig hunting rifles chambered in 7.62 by 39 because it's
Yeah,
cheap or whatever, and it still hits really hard. It's almost the same as like having 300 blackout, except 300 blackout is $1.30 a round when I can pay like 40 cents a round for 7.62 by 39.
Okay.
So I chamber it in that, got a good thermal on there, man. You get out, you walk out to the field. I think my last, well, not the last hunt. Last hunt we only saw one pig, but the hunt before that, man, I think we had 14 in the field, and I think we killed 10 of them out of that 14. But man, it's just a game changer. You're walking up, they literally can't see anything. It's pitch black, and you get within 50, 60 yards of them, man, and start letting them have it. And the thing about pigs is they can hear well and they can smell well, and they can't see well. So
Mm.
as long as you're not down, letting that wind, go to them, and they're not downwind of you, and you're extremely quiet, man, you could get pretty close on some pigs, man, and wreak some havoc. So, but just like the ducks, man, a group of 14 pigs, that's 14 sets of ears that are listening.
Yep. Yep.
So, you walking through a field that was just cut for corn, them stalks make a lot of noise and everything. But yeah, definitely, man, for those people who might want to get into that game and are listening with the thermals and stuff, man, get you a good old pulsar. Pulsar to me, they make a good low, medium, and high range thermal, depending on how much money you want to spend. And you get out there, man, and wreak havoc on some pigs.
Cool. Cool. Now tell me, are you more of um are you more of a guy that likes to be in a blind, or do you like to spot and stalk, or you mix it up, or
Definitely spot and stock. Hunted in blinds for years before I had thermals. But man, not everything. So I'm gonna tell you, pigs get smart. They change up their schedules, right? So you got to imagine pigs will come eating on your property the same time for like 2 weeks straight, right? Let's say it's 9 p.m. They'll come, but all it takes is one thing to throw them off. They could have smelled something on the way to you, like on another person's property. They could have been shot at by somebody else, you know what I mean? And it changes up everything. The moon phases could be different now, so they start changing. So the thing is, yeah, you can go sit at a feeder and hope they come, but they also remember too, right? Last time I walked over to this free corn, I got shot, you know. So you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like if you went to McDonald's every day and all of a sudden they started shooting up McDonald's, you're gonna remember. I probably don't want to go to that McDonald's again, right?
right.
So it is one of those things, right? Now they'll come back or they'll change up their schedule, but that's the thing about spotting and stalking, man. Like this one property we got that's like 800 acres, man. They'll be on the north side of the property one day and then the southeast side on another day. It just depends, man. Depends on, what scares them, what spooks them, if they smell something good on the ground, like whatever they want to eat that night, that's what they're going to go for, right? So, there's so many factors. So I think spotting and stalking, man, you can get out, you scan a field, okay, they're not here. And then you go over here, like, oh, I see something, and then boom, that's where they are. If I sit in a blind, man, how many hours am I going to sit in the blind? They may come. I may get there, 9 p.m. They may not come until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Do I want to sit in the blind that long, or
Yeah.
do I want to go find them? So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Spotting and stalking is definitely the way. But also too, you can make a lot of noise. Your scent travels more when it comes to spotting and stalking. So just one of them things, man. It's you got to weigh your risk and rewards, right? But if you work the wind right, you'll definitely be able to get on them.
Now tell me this. Are you what do you think the longest spot and stalk is you ever had to that you went to get your harvest?
500 yards, man, because I say yeah, 500 to 600 yards if I'm not mistaken. So we saw a group of pigs. We could see in the distance, heat signature, and we're like, yeah, that's pigs. And we from, it's just looking in through a thermal, right? Sometimes they look like they're moving a certain way. and they're not. So we were like, oh snap, they're actually walking towards us. So we'll meet them. What actually they were doing, they were actually walking off further south to the left. It was just hard to tell in the thermal. So they actually started going away from us, as we were walking towards them. And so, just walking through a cut cornfield and, finally got up on them and, let them have it, man. But, we were on a side by side. And the thing is, a side by side makes noise. Of course, it's squeaking from the suspension. You got the engine running and stuff. And the last thing you want to do is spook them, right? So I'd rather walk half a mile if I got to. You know what I mean? Just to make sure we can get on the pigs. And one of us just takes that walk back, to come pick everybody up. So, excuse
Can
me,
you tell
but
me what's your opinion on the the motorized bike, the e-bikes? What's your opinion on hunting with an e-bike?
man, that's definitely a good one. But the thing about electric stuff is if you get into some bad mud, it drains that battery, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on your terrain and what you got. But I think those are definitely a good solution, man. If you want to get up close on something, you can be quiet and you don't have to work so hard to get out there, right? Um, and it'll put you in position. But if your terrain's super muddy, you might be struggling out there, might be
Yeah.
walking back with the bike. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's why I like that whole electric car thing, man. Like everybody's like, oh man, you should get like the Tesla truck. Man, no electric vehicles have proven themselves on the market to be no good in like the places I go, man. Like I'm gonna be in four-wheel drive for the next 20 minutes going 20 miles an hour because that's as fast as we can go. At least somebody can bring me gas. Who's gonna bring me a battery? You know what I mean? Like out there
Right.
in the
Right.
middle of the marsh, right? Like who's gonna
Right.
charge this vehicle 20 miles off of the grid, right? So yeah, man, it's I haven't adapted to that whole cyber truck thing and electronic all that stuff, man. They,
I got you.
it has a place for it with everybody, but I'm not a fan of it. Give me that gasoline, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That's what you got to rely on when you're as far off grid and remote as you like to be, from what it sounds like. And
yeah, man.
even with my own experiences, man, because I got to tell you, the place I go to here in Florida, I initially was just looking for a place that I could shoot my AR-15 and then be able to do stuff that I can't do at the ranges, but I'm used to doing from the Marines. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
So initially, I was just looking for a place where I could do some tactical shit and not have a problem. But I got there, and it's just like you're talking about. I didn't realize it was all that undeveloped swampland,
Hmm.
uh, and I was gonna need me a 4-wheel drive, so I went and got that and everything. But then, even then, right now my whole issue is between lifting it even more,
Oh, yeah.
and obviously adding like larger mud tires and all. So for me, it's been this evolution of, okay, I just came to shoot, to, okay, if I really want to get around here on my own, I need to, you know what I mean, have
Yeah.
a truck that can handle that. And it's just like you're saying, I can't see myself depending on an electrical truck to get me through anything off grid, bro. I don't know. I don't see
Yeah.
how that would work out on a practical level of like, so real world type of shit. But
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, man.
I really like the fact that you are so down on you're so down with the whole spot and stalk part. I don't meet many hunters who are as eager as you are to for either one, not be in the blind and then go on the
Hmm.
spot and stalk, or two, you just mentioned you will even not use the side by side sometimes if it'll
Yeah.
to deal with the silence, or the smell or anything else that'll spook those hogs.
Yeah, man. And I've man, on cold nights, man, like sometimes I'll cross a creek that's thigh deep just to go, you know what I mean, just to avoid that noise, right? Just because I know, okay, if they hear, we can try to take the side by side through, right? But man, you're gonna make so much noise, man. Shoot, I'll dry off, you know. Let me go and get these pigs, man. So yeah, it's definitely yeah, man, you got to be dedicated. You know, not everybody's like that in the hunting world, man. I say I always tell people, man, you have people who are like the gentleman hunters, you know, like the easy going hunting, and they like to get out there. They don't want to spend a lot of time. They like to just shoot whatever, and they don't like to get their hands necessarily dirty. You know what I mean? They do it more for like, man, yeah, I went hunting, right? But then you got those true outdoorsmen, man, who are covered in mud, covered in blood, do whatever it takes to harvest that animal, man, and they're gonna put meat in the freezer no matter what. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think there's definitely a separation. Not everybody, people call themselves a hunter, but not everybody's a true like hunter and like that outdoorsman. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, do you skin your own?
Oh yeah, yeah. I clean everything, man. So if especially with the pigs, like I say, man, if we kill a whole bunch, I'm not about to clean 10 hogs, but we'll clean a couple and put some meat in there. But I get so many people asking me about meat too, but excuse me. Like the last time we killed a nail guy, we cleaned that up. It's like a 700-pound animal.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then my ducks, I clean them all myself too. So, like duck breast, man, if you cook it up, I almost cook it like a little steak sometimes. And I have like a breakfast meal, man. Cook some pancakes or waffles and eggs and have your little duck breast steaks, man. It's good. So,
That's what's up.
um, man, it just something about even my fish too, clean it all myself. So it's something more satisfying than having somebody else do it for you. And man, like I saw this thing alive, I took its life, I cleaned it, and now it's in my skillet.
Yes, you're a true hunter, bro. You take it through the whole process, and I like that.
Yeah.
You take it through the whole step of what. Yeah, okay. Like it's like you just mentioned anyway. Um, being able to be that true hunter versus that, that gentleman, like you said,
Hmm.
that gentleman hunter.
Yep.
Um, all right, I'm gonna pause for one more time, man.
Okay. Cool. Okay,
Okay,
man.
good one. All right. Sergeant WarDawg with the WarDawg Trail. We are still in episode 44. We're going to come back again to Dominion 126, aka Mr. Chris T. What we were last talking about, I remember you mentioning the duck bill steaks for breakfast.
Hmm.
And I wanted to ask you just a little bit, transition a little from hunting to your firearms instruction. I just wanted to know if you teach women, and then how young do you teach any of your students?
I got you. So yeah, with the instruction thing, I built my own little range out in a little small town called Alvin, Texas, and um, man, I got a friend. It was a blessing, man. She owns a piece of property. Told her what I wanted to do with the business, and she allowed me to come. So literally, we get tires from free from these tire shops that take old tires off of cars, and
Yeah.
uh, that's our backdrop. And man, put up a couple of posts and some wood, and now we got stuff to host targets and everything, and stick them to them, but. Yes, I do. I used to do all women's classes. We used to do a woman's fitness course too. I got a friend named Antonique that is a fitness instructor, and we'd actually have like a workout, like a boot camp where they work out and they shoot, man. So they get that heart rate up, and then they come put rounds on target, man. So it was like they could do both all in one little session. So um, that we definitely we do have classes that cater to women because sometimes I've seen that you can have a regular class and women don't come because the men act a certain way. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
they,
okay.
no matter what level a man is at with the firearms, he's gonna act like he's up here in a sense.
I
And
get you. I never thought
yeah,
about that. I never thought about that.
and so most of the women are very serious about learning, right? They're very like, man, I want to learn. I want to, soak up everything I can. And sometimes I've noticed the women don't feel they can do that as much with a guy's like a mixed course, right?
Hmm.
So that's why we do have those all woman classes. So yeah, we do that. And then as far as like how young, man, I've taught I think 7 year olds, as long as the parent is there and safety is the main priority, like, hey, you got to know that this is a tool that can be used in life or death situations, right? So we're educating you young, but for the parents too, it's education thing for them. Like, what are you like? How are you going to make this available or not available to your child, right? Like, do you have a safe or
Hmm.
a lockbox or something? And also, does your child understand that, man, this isn't a toy at the end of the day? Like, yeah, we're having fun, but you know, if mommy or daddy's in danger, yeah, you can go get it and help. But it's about reading the families and understanding what they want to get out of it. You know what I mean? So not everybody's mature enough. I've had it's young. Actually, my hunter education course, I had a 6 year old man. He was the smartest little 6 year old. Like he had been, but his family had been taking him hunting, like dragging him along, since he was, probably one. So he's always been around it. So for him to be as sharp as he was, man, it was really cool to see a 6 year old with that mindset, and be a true like hunter and understand like, man, this gun is always on safe. This gun is always pointed in a safe direction. I know what's beyond my target. So um, yeah, man, yeah, I'll teach as young as they can be as long as they comprehend. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
if they can comprehend the safety aspect and understand what's going on, I'll teach them. As long as the parents there.
All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, Dominion 126, I uh I really appreciate you coming on to the show, bro. Like I said,
For
I've been a
sure.
fan for at least the past 3 years. If you don't mind, can you let the listeners know where they can find out more about you, whether it's your website or social media?
So yeah, my social media, my Instagram will be Dominion_126. My website is Dominion one 26.com. Reach out to me on either one. And, if you want to learn about hunting, fishing, get some workouts in, or even, get out there and do some firearm training, or even if it's somebody who's new to the firearm game and just want to know what do I need, like where do I start? Like a lot of people, those beginners, they don't know where to start with a firearm, right? I'll definitely help people, pick out a firearm. Like that's one of my things is I have a passion. Like, man, you may not know where to start, but at least you have that initial drive that, hey, I want to, start getting into this. I want to protect my family or whatever it may be. Will get you started, finding that proper firearm. So, yeah,
Great.
those are the ways to contact me. Y'all hit me up.
All right. All right. All right then. When one last, this is still around the Houston area.
Yeah, yeah. So around Houston area, just south of Houston. But I mean, if you're in downtown Houston, probably 15, 20 minutes away from where I am.
Okay. All right then. Great. Great. All right. This has been episode 44 of the WarDawg Trail podcast with the one and only Dominion 126, also known as AKA Chris T. He let you know where you can find him as far as his website and his Instagram page. And hey, he's the real deal. You heard him today. You listened to how well he knows what he's talking about, how he can articulate exactly what it is that whether a hunter or a firearms user needs to pay attention to or be doing or to be learning. And hey, he's even the way you heard him describe how he can even teach gun users as young as the age of 7. I can't thank you enough, bro. Like I said, I've
Yeah,
known that you were dope for a long time, and now I'm glad that the rest of the world knows as well. So thank you
for
for
sure,
coming on the
man.
show.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man.
All right.